impotent to quell his terrible prisoners,
I think it's impotent. Impotent.
impotent,
Impotent, yes.
impotent,
With the accent on the impotent.
impotent to quell his terrible prisoners, appalled the householder helpless sits above, taken from him, his house is his no more. He is bound and forced, a victim of the play, or allured, joys in the mad and mighty din. His nature's dangerous forces have arisen, and hold at will a rebel's holiday. Aroused from the darkness, where they crouched in the depths, prisoned from the sight, they can be held no more. His nature's impulses are now his lords. Once quelled or wearing
Specious.
specious names and vests, infernal elements, demon powers are there. Man's lower nature hides these awful guests. Their vast contagion grips sometimes man's world. An awful insurgence overpowers man's soul. In house and house the huge uprising grows. Hell's companies are loosed to do their work. Into the earthways they break out from all doors, invade with bloodlust and the will to slay, and fill with horror and carnage God's fair world.
You have to work a little more on invade.
Invade, okay.
Yes.
Invade with bloodlust and the will to slay, and fill with horror and carnage God's fair world. Death and his hunters stalk a victim earth, the
The
terrible
victim.
victim. Death and his hunters stalk a victim her earth, the terrible angel smites at every door. An awful laughter mocks at world's pain,
At
and
the world's pain.
an awful laughter mocks at the world's pain, and massacre and torture grin at heaven. All is the prey of the destroying foes. Creation rocks and tremble top and base. This evil nature housed in human hearts, a foreign inhabitant, a dangerous guest, the soul that harbors, the soul that harbors it, it can dislodge. Expel the householder, possesses the house,
Oh, possess the house.
possess the house. Expel the householder, possess the house,
No, possess. Possess.
possess,
Possess. It's almost
possess,
a Z sound. Possess.
possess.
Good.
Expel the householder, possess this house. An opposite potency contradicting God, a momentary evil's almightiness has straddled the straight path of nature's acts. It imitates the Godhead it denies, puts on his finger and assumes his
No,
face.
no. Come on.
Puts on his figure, puts on his figure and assumes his face. A Manichean,
No, Manichaean.
a Manichean creator and destroyer. This can abolish man, annul his world. But there is a guardian power, there are hands that save. Calm eyes divine regard the human scene.
So you, I think, have seen that a lot of work has to be done yet on pronunciation.
Yeah, yeah,
So you please work on that.
yeah.
We'll continue now. these beautiful lines.
All the world's all the world's possibilities in man are waiting as the tree waits in its seed. His past lives in him. It
Lives.
lives, okay. His past lives in him. It drives his future's pace. His presence act His presence acts fashion his coming fate. The unborn gods hide in his house of life.
Well, what is happening here? Can you tell me?
So he's saying just like how a seed has a capacity to sprout a such big tree, we are housing the seed of, I mean, I understand that as the seed of God. So
Yes,
that seed
all
is
these
within us.
possibilities. Sri
Yes.
Aurobindo is referring here to the supermind. That
Okay.
we can attain the supermind, we can become transformed people,
Mm.
very strong.
Yeah.
But then he says, after the colon, that his past lives in him, and
Mm.
yet it drives the pace of his future. And his present acts even fashion his coming fate. You see
Mm.
how this is so much karma here? The
Okay.
past lives in us, the past drives our future's pace,
Mm.
our present acts fashion our future's fate.
Mm.
Got it?
Yeah.
Good. Let's
His
carry on.
past lives in him. It drives his future's pace. Okay. His presence acts fashion his coming fate.
See, when we break up the lines a little bit to more prose, then we see that what is living in him but his past?
Hmm.
And what else? What drives the pace or the movement of his future? It's his past. And
Hmm.
yet his presence acts do fashion his future's fate.
Hmm.
Good. Okay. Carry on.
The unborn gods hide in his house of life.
Well, we know that because Sri Aurobindo tells us that even though we have taken this great leap down from these higher worlds into this world of matter
Hmm.
where we enter in ignorance,
Hmm.
the baby has no brain even, basically. All this has to be developed.
Hmm.
Except we are seeing now these indigo children who are so incredible. A boy of 6 months old is reading and speaking. The other day, we attended a funeral ceremony for a friend's grandmother. We were asked to read Savitri, Nilisha and I, and this young man's child, who is now 6 years, no, she's 9 years old, picks up Savitri and begins reading the entire passage. Even big words she's making out.
Hmm.
See, these are the indigo children.
Hmm.
They're a sign for me of the supermental.
Hmm.
Okay, so we see these unborn gods hiding in our bodies,
Yeah.
and then we'll continue.
Should we read life?
Pardon?
The life is capitalized,
Oh, I
so
thought we had done life before.
I don't think so.
Ah, yeah, we can read it, sure.
Sri Aurobindo. Life itself here on earth is being at labor in matter to express itself in terms of conscious force. Human life is the human being at labor to impress himself to the material world with the greatest possible force and intensity and extension. He says that in Social and Political Thought. In Letters on Yoga, he says, life is the dynamic expression of consciousness force when thrown outward to realize itself in concrete harmonies of formation.
Yes, of course, when these higher worlds came down into mind, they brought mind to come into matter.
Mm.
And so we have this descent from the supermind through the different ranges of mind first, then life, and then. So it's mind, life, and matter that are below supermind,
Mm.
and it is Sat Chidananda that's above supermind.
Okay.
So you can say that supermind is in the middle.
Mm.
Satchidananda goes into supermind, and
Mm.
supermind descends into mind, life, and body.
Mm.
Good. Okay.
Life is not only a play of forces or a mental experience, but a field for the evolution of the concealed spirit. All life is only a lavish and manifold opportunity given.
Manifold.
Manifold, okay. All life is only a lavish and manifold opportunity given us to discover, realize, express the divine. Life is universal force working so as to create, energize, maintain, and modify, even to the extent of dissolving and reconstructing substantial forms with mutual play and interchange of an overtly or secretly conscious energy as its fundamental character. Life, then, is the dynamic play of a universal force, a force in which mental consciousness and nervous vitality are in some form or at least in their principle, always inherent, and therefore they appear and organize themselves in our world in the forms of matter. I'll read that again.
Yeah.
Life then is the dynamic play of a universal force, a force in which mental consciousness and nervous vitality are in some form, or at least in their principle, always inherent, and therefore they appear and organize themselves in our world in forms of matter.
Hmm.
All life is a growth of the soul out of the darkness towards the light. Life is an infinite force working in the terms of the finite. All life, spiritual, mental, or material, is the play of the soul with the possibilities of its nature. When we study this life as it manifests itself upon earth with matter as its basis, we observe that essentially it is a form of the one cosmic energy, a dynamic movement or current of it, positive and negative, a constant act or play of the force which builds up forms, energizes them by a continual stream of stimulation, and maintains them by an unceasing process of disintegration and renewal of their substance.
Okay,
This,
here we see that this force, this divine force, is acting always in matter.
mm,
We see it how it changes the earth. In this La Palma place, this island
yeah,
has almost destroyed the whole island.
yeah,
And this is a reason of nature that we cannot understand, but we must never attribute it to good or bad people or punishment or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Nature is not like that.
Yeah.
There is the divine force working in her, and
Mm.
the divine force is disintegrating and building new things all the time.
Mm.
Only we can't see them until we get above physical mind into the higher regions of mind. Then we can see them. Okay.
This would tend to show that the natural opposition we make between death and life is an error of our mentality, one of those false oppositions, false to inner truth, though valid in surface practical experience, which, deceived by appearances, it is constantly bringing into the universal unity.
Very good.
Now, back to Savitri. The
Yes.
demons of the unknown overshadow his mind, casting their dreams into live or live,
Live
live
mold thought.
into live molds of thought, the molds in which his mind builds out its world.
Now, the daemon here is not DEMON, but DAEMON, and that daemon is a guardian spirit
Okay.
or a demigod.
Okay.
So we'll continue.
His mind creates around him its universe. All that has been renews in him its birth. All that can be is figured in his soul.
Very beautiful lines, huh?
Mm.
All that has been, everything that has been on this earth since the beginning, renews in us its birth. So when we begin, we are almost nothing, like a little baby.
Mm.
Can't speak, can't speak, can't even use its mind yet. The mind has to become stronger, and the body is extremely weak. Depends only on its mother in the first weeks. So all that has been in us renews again its birth in us. Everything that has been. And all that can be, so Sri Aurobindo is giving us the future here, is figured in his soul. Figured here is symbolized.
Mm. Issuing in deeds its course on the roads of the world, obscure to the interpreting reason's guess,
Now,
lines
interpreting reasons.
issuing
Obscure. Okay,
issuing in deeds its course on the roads of the world, obscure to the interpreting reason's guess, lines of the secret purpose of the gods.
this is a little difficult, no doubt. So he says here now, issuing in deeds that it scores. Here scores is to obtain something,
Okay.
to win or to obtain something. And it scores on the roads of the world things that are obscure to the interpreting reason's guess. So we can't really guess at these things.
Yeah.
And what are these things? They are the lines of the secret purpose of the gods. And this has been the problem in Orogo too, with its disharmony and its. At one point, when children were taught not to speak of Mother or Sri Aurobindo because it would be taken to be a sect or a cult. Imagine that. I'm reading this book by Anu Majumdar.
Mm-hmm.
She writes about it quite a bit. So we see that these lines of the secret purpose of the gods
Mm.
are issued on the roads of the world as scores, as winds, and still they're obscure to the interpreting reason's guess, because reason here can only guess. It can't really see. We can only see when we get to the intuitive mind.
Mm.
It's much higher.
Okay.
Okay, so carry on.
In strange directions runs the intricate plan. Held back from human foresight is their end, and the far intention of some ordering will, or the order of life's arbitrary chance, finds out its settled poise and fated hour.
Now we have will here,
Yeah.
and Sri Aurobindo doesn't. He says a bit about it. We should do will. I don't think we've done it, have we?
I think we have, I'm checking.
Okay.
Yeah, we have done will.
Okay. And how about chance?
Chance, I'm not sure. We have done chance too.
Good. So now we have to go to 483.
Yeah.
And I'll get right there in a moment and we'll carry on. Because this is a long passage where Sri Aurobindo is telling us about these forces that use us first and then what we can do. So he says it finds out its settled poise and fated hour. Now, again, he's going to speak about reason here. So carry on.
Our surface watched in vain by reason's gaze, invaded by the
Impromptus,
impromptus of the unseen, helpless records, the accidents of time, the involuntary turns and leaps of life.
quite a bit to say. An impromptu is something that arises spontaneously.
Yes.
Without any previous preparation. You know, we
Yeah.
have impromptus in the theater.
Yes.
Okay. And so our surface, which is watched in vain by the gaze of reason, is invaded by these impromptus of the unseen. And the reason's gaze is helpless in recording the accidents of time. He uses accidents here in a very interesting way. We've done time, have we not done
Yes,
time?
we have time.
And then he says these involuntary turns and leaps of life. Well, involuntary means done without or against one's will. If something is voluntary, it's very clear. You've done it with your will. You volunteered it. But involuntary is done without or against one's will.
Yeah.
And then he's going to tell us in the next 3 lines what actually is.
Only a little of us foresees its steps. Only a little has will and purposed pace. A vast subliminal is man's measureless part.
And there we are. The vast subliminal. Purpose means having an objective.
Yeah.
Space, an objective base.
Yeah.
So he says, and he starts 2 sentences with only a little.
Yeah.
See, because he wants to impress that on us, on our consciousness. Only a little of us foresees its steps. Only a little has will and purpose pace. And why is that? because a vast subliminal is man's measureless part.
Hmm.
Now, I don't know if we've done subliminal.
I think we have done subliminal. We
Okay.
did it like, I think, like 2, 3 classes before.
Okay.
Oh, or we did subconscious. One second.
Yeah, well, we have both of them here in these two next lines, so we should see which one we've done.
Because when we were reading subconscious, I read subliminal, and
Good.
then no, we have not done subliminal. We have done subconscious.
Okay, so let's do subliminal. There's quite a bit there.
Yeah.
He does say the subliminal is something that is existing or operating below the threshold of sensation or consciousness.
Yeah.
So,
Narad, do we have time for subliminal? It's a
pro-
long one.
yeah, probably not. Why
So we
don't you
should
read?
start with that, and I just read now
Yeah,
until only a little has will and purpose space.
very good. Yes, a
So
good.
then we start with a vast subliminal next time.
Yes, okay. But now try to get those pronunciations correct. Huh?
Okay.
You're going to start with all the world's possibilities?
Yes.
Yes, very good.
All the world's possibilities in man are waiting as the tree waits in its seed. His past lives in him. It drives his future's space. His presence acts, fashion. His presence
His
acts.
presence, the acts of his present.
Yeah, his presence acts, fashion his coming fate. The unborn gods hide in his house of life. The daemons of the unknown overshadow his mind, casting their dreams into live molds of thought, the molds in which his mind builds out its world. His mind creates around him its universe. All that has been renews in him its birth. All that can be is figured in his soul, issuing in deeds its course on the roads of the world, obscure to the interpreting reason's guess, lines of the secret purpose of the gods. In strange directions runs the intricate plan, held back from human foresight is their end, and the far intention of some ordering will, or the order of life's arbitrary chance, finds out its settled poise and fated hour. Our surface watched in vain by reason's gaze, invaded, invaded by the impromptus of the unseen, helpless records the accidents of time, the involuntary turns and leaps of life. Only a little of us foresees its steps. Only a little has will and purposed pace.
So we have two things: impromptus,
Choose, okay.
impromptus, and arbitrary. Arbitrary, not arbitrary, but or arbitrary. No, arbitrary and impromptus.
Arbitrary.
Good. Good.
Okay.
Well, it was a good evening, but a difficult one.
Yes.
Namaste.
Namaste, Narad. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.